Prepare for a powerful and emotional full moon in Capricorn on Wednesday, July 13th at 2:37 p.m. Eastern. It conjoins Pluto and squares Chiron, suggesting important transformations, healing, growth, and release. Let's talk about it in depth and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below and book a reading. And if you're new here, please subscribe, leave me a comment or a like. I appreciate that. It means a lot for growing my channel. So any help is lovely. So this full moon occurs on Wednesday, July 13th at 2:37 p.m. Eastern at 21 degrees 20 minutes Capricorn. So we will all feel this full moon. Full moons in general have the nature of release, completion, change. They bring big things into our life, big changes, big completions. And you will feel this one especially strongly. Here's the sound effects to support it. You'll feel it especially strongly if you have any planets between 18 and 25 degrees cardinal signs. So it's happening in Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, and automatically, if you have any planets from 18 to 25 degrees Capricorn, or the sign opposite, Cancer, or two signs that square Capricorn, Aries and Libra, you're likely to have more important changes in your life. And you will look at the planet that they aspect. Let's say you have Venus at 20 degrees Libra, and this full moon squares your Venus. You might expect the change brought on by the full moon to affect your relationships as well, more so for people who don't have their Venus in Capricorn in like 20 degrees cardinal signs. But this is a change, a completion of a cycle that got started early this year, early 2022. We had a new moon in Capricorn in January. It was like, I feel like January 3rd or January 2nd. And whatever new projects that got started in your life, wherever you started to seek authority, recognition, the mountain you started to climb, right? Like Capricorn is the goat. It climbs tough surfaces. So something that got started in your life in the sector of the chart that is Capricorn is either changing or ending, or you getting recognition, or you might also be like letting it go because you have gotten as much as you wanted from that project and you don't want to work on it anymore. Full moon carries in it tension, as always, because it is the opposition between the sun and the moon. And here we have the sun in a sensitive, nurturing, emotional, self-protective sign of Cancer that really values home and family and a sense of belonging, versus the moon in Capricorn that wants all the grown-up things, that wants to go out into the world and build something of itself and get recognition, get success, get that authority. And it's likely that this full moon will point you towards the imbalance in your life. Somewhere you may have worked so hard on recognition, you have forgotten the main reason behind it, right? Like maybe you started a project to make more money, to spend more time with your family, but you've worked so hard that you have sort of forgotten about the family and the original goal. So dealing with these matters, dealing with work desire of Capricorn, a familial, more personal desire and need for security of Cancer is significant with this full moon. You're encouraged to try and find a better work-life balance. The moon does conjoin Pluto. Pluto is currently hanging out at like 25 degrees. I believe 25 degrees of Capricorn. So the full moon 27, actually 2740. So the moon conjunct Pluto has a lot of kick to it. It's very potent, it's very emotional. It's likely to bring feelings from maybe things that you haven't acknowledged, maybe subconscious feelings. Pluto wants power. So Pluto in a way strengthens Capricorn sometimes, or darkens Capricorn. That desire for power, control, recognition might show up even stronger with Pluto, but Pluto is also the planet of transformation. So you're encouraged to look at those goals and those motivations and examine them for truth, or examine them for how destructive are they in your life, because it's likely that this moon conjunct Pluto will bring some kind of power struggles. Maybe you're holding on to something too tightly in your life and you are encouraged to transform it. And it's a full moon, it's conjunct Pluto. It's likely not to be super gentle. There might be some kind of rude awakening, a conflict, an attempt at manipulation, or like a dark encounter with people, a dark encounter with power, with a side of you that will encourage you to transform and release it. I'm thinking of like Capricorn energy sometimes as like it's the sign most closely connected to tradition. So there's a little bit of that like crusted attachment to tradition and to the norms. And so with this full moon and conjunct Pluto, you're encouraged to let go of some of that unhealthy skepticism and fears and control issues, right? Like, what are you holding on to too tightly? Are you holding on to the old image of yourself that no longer serves you? And if you are, maybe it's time to let it go. At the same time, if you are dealing with control issues and power struggles with people in power, maybe you are encouraged to put up boundaries. And because the ultimate goal with this full moon is a better work-life balance. And whatever you need to do, if you need to let go and walk away from the issue, do that. If you need to put up boundaries and stay there but create a healthier environment at work, for example, do that. This moon also opposes Mercury, because the Sun and Mercury are getting close to conjoin. So the full moon opposes Mercury, so we may have to deal with issues of Mercury right now is in Cancer, sensitive speech, wanting to maintain peace, wanting to create harmony, and the moon in Capricorn, rational mind, needing to express itself, needing to assert its power and dominance. So might be hard to get the levels right between that Mercury sensitivity, needing to maintain peace, and the lunar energy of like assertion in Capricorn. So try to be careful of like miscommunications and conflicts, and just beware of your speech not being as clear as you'd like it to be. There might be like conflicts internally and externally that get stirred up by your words. And this moon also squares Chiron and Aries. And Chiron and Aries is all about healing the wound of self-love, self-assertion, trusting that you're capable, trusting that you are on the right path, trusting that you have what it takes, because Aries is very much the sign of like first, confident, leader. And like whenever Chiron is in Aries natally or by transit, those are the things that we may second guess in ourselves. We may doubt ourselves and our own ability to assert ourselves. So like, especially if you're dealing with this Pluto and like power struggles, right? Like if you're dealing with a conflict with someone at work, the square to Chiron is encouraging you to heal the self-doubt. Don't listen to what they're telling, because something they're telling might be very wrong, and maybe it's encouraging you to actually heal and get better. What's interesting is all of these squares, right? Like the full moon opposes the moon in Capricorn, opposes the Sun and Mercury in Cancer. It squares Chiron and Aries. We call this a T-square, meaning that 3 out of 4 cardinal signs are represented, but the 4th one isn't. And the 4th one oftentimes is the answer to the problem. So what's missing is Libra. So the answer to the conflict or the issue that is presented, or the tension that is presented by this full moon, is the harmony and the peace and the creativity of Libra, the joy of connection, the poise and grace and the lack of, like, not rushing, taking your time, consulting people, trying to create more balance in your life. So definitely focus on Libran things, and maybe if that even means like playing, singing, dancing, painting, anything like that, use that energy to create more balance, right? And also I feel like very much this full moon, I think it's significant to see how you manage stress and how you manage triggers, because it's likely that Pluto, Chiron, right? Like there is likely to be tough situations in which you're stressed and frustrated, and maybe you want to say something to the person closest to you who doesn't deserve to hear your frustrations. So how do you manage frustrations, and what better rituals can you bring into your life? Like Cancer is nurture, protection, Capricorn, structure. So how can you create structures around nurturing yourself, and how can you process and proceed with care and love? This energy does last for a while. Normally, full moon, we say like a couple of weeks after, especially strong. But here, the Sun and Mercury will go on to oppose Pluto on July 18th and 19th. So it's an especially strong, like kind of a week after, or the week of the full moon, the energy persists. And it's not like a one-time thing. We're gonna have to explore it over the longer period of time. Yeah, like, think on topics of power. Think what true power is. Is it having money in the bank? Is it having the title? Or is it having more time to travel, or more time to spend with your family? And also perhaps the issues of control, the spoken control, the unspoken control. Sometimes we don't express our true nature, or don't show our vulnerability for that false idea of keeping control, while maybe expressing it and being more vulnerable can get you better results, right? Like it can get you in touch with those feelings. We only live once. I mean, when you're into astrology, you believe that there's more to life than just one lifetime, but that's what you have right now in front of you. And by not expressing things, by holding on to that sense of control, you may be limiting yourself somehow. So let's break it down for all 12 signs and see what this might signify for you specifically. For Aries rising, there's a full moon in the 10th house, and it squares Chiron in the 1st. So naturally, 10th house, full moon, changes to your career, changes to professional matters like recognition, getting a raise, getting a promotion. It conjoins Pluto, so I feel like you are examining your desire for success and how important it is to you, how maybe also how willing you are to transform things in order to reach that success, or possibly even with that Sun-Moon opposition between the 4th house, how can you let something go professionally in order to create a better work-life balance? Because the Sun right now is in your 4th house, Venus is about to go in your 4th house, Mercury is in your 4th house, so a big part of your joy right now is at home or with family. So you want to figure out how to create that better work-life balance. And also just, look at your aspirations professionally. Look at whether you feel happy or not, and what your relationship with your bosses are. Are you doing things that you dislike in them? Because sometimes sometimes people who dislike authority or have problems with authority secretly want to be authority, right? That's why they dislike them, because they feel like they have better understanding of what needs to be done. So possible issues with bosses, with people in power, and a need to put up better boundaries, and need to have a better relationship with them. It is squaring Chiron in the first, so healing that self-doubt, that voice within yourself that second guesses and doesn't believe that you have the right to get what you want. Like, you know, sometimes, let's say you deserve a raise, but you don't approach it. You don't go and talk to your boss because you're worried that they will say no. So this full moon is very much about, like, let that go. Go express yourself. Go ask for what you want. Because you only have control over yourself. So if you believe in yourself, chances of getting better results are higher. For Taurus rising, there's a full moon in the 9th house. It conjoins Pluto and it squares Chiron in the 12th. Full moon in the 9th conjunct Pluto can bring certain catharsis, changes, transformations related to your beliefs. Some kind of ideological debate, ideological conflict can like burst up. 9th house is teachers, so maybe you are dealing with some kind of challenge with a teacher, or challenge around education, or just challenge related to like a legal system. It might also represent the time when you are completing a course of study, when you're graduating and you're embarking on a new chapter in your life. Look at what was happening in your life in January. There might be changes related to travel, whether you're moving somewhere or you are maybe going on a trip, right? There's definitely a couple of possibilities. Completing a writing project, dealing with a legal matter. It's interesting because Pluto kind of intensifies everything and makes you see the darker side of things. So maybe you are encouraged to look at your view on things, right? Like look at your approach to education and teaching or learning, or look at your approach to travel and see what is outdated, what needs to be transformed. Where are you letting your beliefs, for example, have too much control over your life? And of course, look at people in the position of power. Look at people who are like teachers, or people who you see as teachers, and how you can create more freedom in your life to pursue things that you want to pursue. It squares Chiron in the 12th house, so Chiron in the 12th might bring up topics of loneliness, because that's what Chiron in the 12th house is, like surrounding yourself with people that create an illusion of you having like a lot of friends, having a ton of support, but then in reality maybe they're not, you don't really enjoy spending time with them. Or it can also bring up the questions of self-doubt and all the negative things you tell yourself, and worries, skepticism, second guessing, and possibly letting that go. Like how do your negative thoughts influence your beliefs? Because like 9th house is beliefs, but then 9th house also is what pushes us forward, what encourages growth and healing and transformation. Gemini rising gets the full moon in the 8th house, conjoins Pluto, and it squares Chiron in the 11th. Full moon in the 8th conjunct Pluto will likely make you deal with topics of control and power in your relationships, surrounding money, surrounding any agreements you have with other people. 8th house is resources of other people, tax and debts and inheritance and everything you share with others, anything that they give to you, bring to you. So this is very much a place where power struggles show up quite a lot, because, you know, someone gives you things, or you share something, an inheritance with your brother, let's say, and you want to handle things one way, they want to handle things another way. So you will get a chance to look at how you handle those matters, how you handle frustration and challenges related to sharing. And I think this could be the time when the matter comes to an end, or when the matter changes. Like maybe you pay off a debt, maybe you get a loan, maybe you get a return on investment, or you handle and finish matters related with inheritance. And likely, you know, there might be some struggles, some frustration, some emotions connected to it. You are encouraged to have honest conversations, to talk about, you know, maybe even put up new agreements in your relationships. If it's a business relationship, write a new contract. If it's a familial relationship, discuss it and divide the power, or like be honest with things. But definitely, you know, definitely literal transformations of your resources are also possible. And let me know how this resonates in the comments below. It squares Chiron in the 11th, so you might be examining your hopes and dreams and plans for the future. You might be looking at your relationship with friends, or like sometimes 11th house also represents brothers. Possibly your dynamics, those dynamics that deal with giving and sharing and fairness in friendships or at work with colleagues, and like needing to speak up, needing to express yourself, needing to believe that you have the right to express what you're trying to express. Changes in your partner's resources are also possible, or a partner going through some sort of catharsis connected to their finances. For Cancer rising, this full moon occurs in the 7th house and it conjoins Pluto. So very much about partnerships and relationships. It also squares Chiron in the 10th house. So full moon conjunct Pluto in the 10th house can bring crisis to a relationship, and then the way you handle that crisis leads to either relationship dissolving or relationship solidifying. So you get relationship tests, relationship dynamics. And if you're single, this could be a business relationship. This could be a relationship with your mother, who is sort of like your husband. If you are, let's say you have a kid and your mom takes on the role of a husband or something. So look at the powers, like at the relationship you have with your partner and how you share power, how you share control. Because maybe you've gotten yourself in a situation where they make all the decisions and you are secretly not liking the decisions they're making, but you're keeping quiet. You're trying to, you know, take it easy, not complain. So might be the time to address the imbalance of power, to address the frustrations and have an honest conversation. It is squaring Chiron in the 10th, so somehow this imbalance of power or this change in relationship also affects your career. With Chiron in the 10th house, you are really called to believe in yourself and believe in your power, and maybe even like go off on your own or strike off into the unknown territory professionally. Don't be afraid, right? And you know, there's some positive ways this full moon can show up. This could also mean like signing a contract, getting engaged, getting married, and maybe allowing a relationship to transform when you release control a little bit and kind of go into the new territory, explore what the relationship might be. For Leo rising, there's a full moon in the 6th house conjoining Pluto, squaring Chiron in the 9th. Chiron in the 9th might make you look at your beliefs and ideals, might bring up a legal matter that you have to address, the matter in which you have to express what you want. Topics related to education and travel might be significant for you right now as well. But basically the full moon in the 6th house brings changes to your work life. Maybe you are negotiating new kind of new conditions for yourself, new things that you want. Maybe you are restructuring your daily life, restructuring your schedule, letting go of an unhealthy dynamic, because of course Pluto might make you deal with a power struggle at work, frustrating situation. Definitely looking at sixth house also deals with health, so maybe there's something you need to revisit when it comes to health. Maybe you have any habits that you have that don't serve you, and kind of like look at them, look at what no longer serves you and transform it. Let's say you're smoking, right? So you're releasing bad habits, releasing smoking, and making changes to your health, making changes to your daily life, making changes to your relationship with coworkers that brings better well-being and, you know, happier life. And that's why I feel like that's why there's that square to Chiron in the 9th house, because 9th house is all about beliefs. So you are, as you're making, you cannot have one without the other. Like if you're making changes to your daily life, to your habits, you're sort of making changes to your thinking, right? A lot of times we like decide to go vegetarian, or people quit smoking, and that also does something to their confidence. Like that makes them believe that they are more of a hero, they're more in charge of their life. So, and vice versa too. I think if you're starting to believe that you're a hero, you're more in charge, you're more likely to make changes to your physical life and habits. So you can definitely see positive changes when it comes to your health, diet, exercise routine, and you are encouraged to initiate them, to be in charge. For Virgo risings, there's a full moon in the 5th house, conjunct Pluto, squaring Chiron in the 8th house. Full moon in the 5th house brings, especially this one, conjunct Pluto, brings changes, culmination, catharsis to your romantic relationship, to your creative project, or to your relationship with, or relationship towards children. So romantically, the conjunction with Pluto might be the time where you look at the power dynamics in your relationship. Do you allow the other person to hold all the power, or are you trying to hold to the power for the sake of like not being vulnerable? Especially with a square to Chiron in the 8th house, I wonder, this might be very internal or it might be external, but like internally there might be a sense of like, are you holding back? Are you feeling uncertain about trusting again? Maybe there's a new relationship, or maybe you've been in a relationship for a while, but you're not allowing the person to see the true version of yourself. So there might be some kind of inciting incident that leads you to truly express yourself and show your true colors. Externally, because there's a square to Chiron in the 8th house, there might be a financial matter that needs addressing. And this could be a financial matter related to a creative project, or this could be a financial matter in your romantic relationship. For example, you have very different desires when it comes to spending money. You want to buy a home, your partner wants to go on vacation. So kind of creating more clarity and having more honest conversations in the relationship could be a part of this. Maybe it has to do with a creative project and you working with someone else and having a sense that they have more power, or they have more say in things. So sort of like adding more clarity, trying to express yourself. Make sure you're not allowing the things to bubble up and like kind of build up to a point that they just explode, because this could be a very explosive full moon. So yeah, like try to have honest conversations. And you may also see changes in the lives of your children around this time. Libra risings have a full moon in the 4th house, and it conjoins Pluto, squares Chiron in the 7th. Full moon in the 4th brings changes, release, completion, culmination to the matters related to home and family. Conjunction with Pluto makes it feel transformative, emotional, powerful, healing. So there might be something that kind of sets you off, right? Like maybe there is a childhood memory, maybe there's a conflict with a family member, maybe there's a toxic neighbor or a toxic living situation that needs changing, that needs you to step into your power and express yourself and transform it. There might be, you know, maybe you're moving, maybe you're completing a major home project. Maybe a parent is moving in with you, or a parent member is moving out. Take a look at early January this year and see what was happening in your life. What can this be about? Likely that questions of security can come up, like questions of safety in the home. Pluto being in the 4th house in general may have created a sense in the last few years, let's say, may have created a sense of not feeling secure in the home, or some kind of power struggles at home. And so right now, with the full moon shining light on it, you are encouraged to address things and to make changes, right? If you don't feel happy with where you live, move. If you don't feel happy with your relationships with family members, put up better boundaries. You don't have to get engaged in the challenging, similar situations. And square to Chiron in the 7th house just makes me wonder how these feelings and how these power struggles and frustrations, how are they affecting your relationship, and can something be done in order to transform them and not allow them to have a negative spillover, a negative effect on your relationships. For Scorpio rising, there's a full moon in the 3rd house conjunct Pluto, and it squares Chiron in the 6th house. So full moon in the 3rd feels like communication, catharsis, needing to express something, needing to have an honest conversation with a sibling or a family member, a neighbor, an aunt. Maybe you have, it squares Chiron in the 6th, right? Like there might be matters related to health or service, how much you are serving them or how much you are sacrificing yourself, and maybe they are they are frustrating you somehow, or they're getting too much in your business, so you will need to have a conversation about that. Because 3rd house is like words and ideas, and you may get recognition for something, right? Like 3rd house also deals with blogs and writing and studies, so sometimes full moon in the 3rd house can bring a culmination to studies. Like maybe you take exam or publish your blog. There might be for sure some kind of exciting development to writing, communication, technology project, but it can also have to do with words and communication and things unsaid that really are bursting out and want to be expressed. Let me know how this resonates in the comments below. I'd love to know how this, shows up in your real life. And another thing with the 3rd house, it deals with like having a plan and having resources, having a good schedule to reach your goals. So there's a chance that something in your schedule, something in your immediate environment will need to be released and transformed in order to get you to where you're trying to go. For Sag rising, there is a full moon in the 2nd house, conjunct Pluto and square Chiron in the 5th house. So matters related to your finances might be brought up for review, and there might be a change, a release, like a paying off a debt, completing maybe a savings plan to make an important purchase and finally making that purchase, leaving a job, getting a raise, like any kind of significant things that you've been working towards professionally or financially are possible with this full moon. It conjoins Pluto, so maybe you are looking at the relationship you have to money and how much control that relationship has, and maybe you feel this might be the time to like look at whether your relationship to money is healthy, or are you buying your happiness, or are you buying someone else's happiness by throwing gifts at a problem. So it's, and the square to Chiron in the 5th house makes me wonder if this is either, if this relationship, financial relationship, and like maybe any issues are connected to your habits, like you like to go gamble, or you like to invest into things that are not good for you, like some other kind of escapist patterns that maybe need to be addressed, or relationship issues that maybe there is an unhealthy financial dynamic where you spend on your partner all of your money and they never like reciprocate, or they don't have a job and no aspiration, so you maybe have to address that kind of stuff. And then financial changes can also be related to the 5th house things. So maybe your finances are changing because you're getting in a relationship and now you're going on a trip together, or maybe you're sending your kids to kindergarten, or like you're paying for school and maybe you're spending money on that. Maybe you're spending money on a creative project. Definitely possibility here. 2nd house also deals with values and things that matter to you. And with that square to Chiron in the 5th house, maybe you are rethinking things that used to bring you joy, but because 5th house deals with things that make us happy, and finding new sources of joy is a possibility. For Capricorn rising, this is very significant. There's a full moon in your 1st house conjunct Pluto, and it squares Chiron in the 4th house. How much have you let your family, your past, your living situation to control who you are? Chiron in the 4th, you're healing some kind of wounding. You're healing a childhood wound. You're healing a relationship with a family. You are looking at the ghosts of the past, because so, like, you know, we live our lives, we're grown-ups, we're walking around, have our, oh my god, there's some weird fly. we have our like checking accounts and credit cards, and we're like, okay, I got it, I'm a grown-up. But how much of our lives are still, like, how many of our responses are still childlike, right? Or things that affect us that are still like childlike, and our beliefs that we have that maybe aren't ours, but maybe we have inherited from our family. So with this full moon in your 1st house, you might be releasing some kind of fear. You may be, because like Pluto in the 1st, you've been through this deep transformation over the course of many years, and you've been through a lot of changes, and so right now this might sort of culminate, and it might be more internal, or maybe this is like a visible result of all the internal changes you've been going through, where you move out and you say like, I want my independence, I want to live alone, I want to be a writer, I want to be a singer, this is who I am. So there might be quite significant change to your identity and to your physical body. Getting a tattoo, getting 5 piercings, whatever makes you feel happy. But like also just taking control, taking charge, becoming that Pluto in a way, that unafraid change maker, but make sure you're not like hurting anyone in the process. For Aqua rising, there's a full moon in the 12th house. It conjoins Pluto and it squares Chiron in the 3rd house. 12th house deals with unseen things, spirituality, self-undoing tendencies, self-negative beliefs. And with Pluto here, you might go on like a journey of the past and look at your past and see all the negative tendencies with the full moon in the 12th house, like any self-defeating notions, self-undoing behaviors. Breakthrough in therapy is a possibility here. A need, like a sense that you need to rest more and relax more and take better care of your mental health, because the sun is in the 6th house, the moon is in the 12th, and mental health is tightly connected to physical health. So this could be very much the time when you choose to prioritize rest and choose to maybe release some kind of self-defeating habit, self-defeating tendency. You're likely to feel sensitive. You're likely to crave alone time. So definitely allow yourself to be alone and maybe step away from the busyness and the craziness of life. It might be tough with the sun in the 6th house pulling you towards the busy life. But try to use therapy and spirituality, yoga as your tools for better well-being, and try to possibly, it squares Chiron in the 3rd house, so I wonder if there is like an unhealthy thing that you do in your daily life, like some kind of scheduling thing that you like keep saying yes to, but then you feel bad about not allowing yourself some space, or a relationship with a sibling, relationship with a neighbor. But likely, I wonder if it's more like things that you say, things that you think, things that are running through your head that need to be let go and released in order to bring forward a better relationship with yourself and with people around you. So focus on transforming negative self-talk and embracing more positivity into your life. And finally, for Pisces, there's a full moon in 11th house and conjoins Pluto and squares Chiron in the 2nd. 11th house deals with friendships, networks, social media. So full moon here might bring changes, culmination to any of those matters. It's conjunct Pluto. Pluto deals with control and manipulation and power struggles and darkness. So maybe you're either looking at your own tendencies to, like, I don't know, crave power in the relationships, or to hold, you know, stay kind of back and not express yourself fully, and how much it's not serving you. Or maybe you're dealing with a power dynamic in a friendship where things don't feel quite fair. And there might be a conflict, there might be an actual exchange where you and your friend sort through things and figure things out, or there might be more like introspective, maybe, you know, something where you decide to let things go and you don't necessarily talk to a person. But I would recommend like having an honest conversation, because you don't know what the other person is going through. That's another possibility, that maybe your friend is going through a tough time and you are called to step up and be there for them. But definitely editing friendships, letting go of some unhealthy friendships is a possibility. And Chiron in the 2nd really makes me think of like you valuing yourself more, you kind of learning to believe in yourself and find that sense of self-worth that maybe leads to better friendships and better relationships. And watch out for conflicts on social media. There's definitely a possibility of that as well. Let me know how this resonates in the comments below, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.